This afternoon, government has justified the additional spending cuts rolled out by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, describing it as a significant measure within current limitations. The cuts, according to the Finance Minister, will help save the economy about 3.5 billion cedis this year. But some have described it as not enough, especially if managers are really committed to matching revenue with expenditure. But the Deputy Minister of Finance, Abena Osei Asare, disagrees with this.
The minister mentioned that as part of measures to rationalize expenditure, we were going to look at items that we could cut. Our expenditure budget is made up of these items: compensation, interest rate, and goods and services and capital expenditure. Compensation is the salaries, wages, and pensions that we have budgeted for the year. There's no way you can cut compensation. And interest payments are the payments of the interest on our loans that we envisage to pay in the year. So that's one too you cannot touch. So you are left with your goods and services as well as your capital expenditure. Your goods and services and capital expenditure is goods and services, I know, is around 8-9, and then your capital expenditure. So for us to make a cut of 3.5 on our discretionary item, it is very, very substantial. It is very, very substantial, and we believe it will also send the right signal and message to all the ministries, departments, and agencies to work within the space that they have, so that at the end of the day, even though we've been hit by these double items, these double whatever, how do you call it, phenomenon or challenges, like the COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war, we still want to live within our targets that we set in the 2022 budget with a fiscal deficit of 7.4% of GDP. So these are the measures that we believe if we should put in place in the expenditure area, and then in the revenue areas, also increase the revenue mobilization through the introduction of the e-VAT, e-commerce, e-gaming initiative that is going to come on in April, and then also looking at rolling out the property rates in April. And we are impressing upon Parliament to also help us pass the various bills that we have brought to, the various revenue bills, including the e-levy, the fees and charges, and the exemptions bill. We believe all these things, one, will introduce efficiency in the way we raise our revenue and also increase our revenue if we pass the fees and charges and the e-levy as well. So having to increase revenue and cut our discretionary expenditure by this amount, we believe that it's a true measure of a government that is ready to live within its means and do everything possible to stick to its macroeconomic targets that we put in the 2022 budget, despite the many challenges that we have gone through and we are still going through.
Well, we spoke about the e-levy, and one would ask that with respect to the back and forth, and the minister said in the presentation that Parliament might rise in April, what concession is the ministry and government willing to make now to ensure that everyone is on board looking at the current challenge to pass the e-levy?
Okay. I believe with the e-levy, it's already in Parliament. It's gone through the Finance Committee stage. A report is ready, and we are ready to take it on the floor of Parliament. In coming to an agreement on the report, the Ministry of Finance, through engagements with several stakeholders, had to bring the rates down from 1.75 to 1.5%. And also the Ministry of Finance, through the minister and other stakeholders, have gone around the country explaining what the e-levy is all about and the kind of revenue that we'll be able to raise if the e-levy should go through. And so I believe that in that engagement, 2-3 things came out. One was the fact that some of our people did not understand the e-levy and what it entailed. And through that, Minister made it known to them, and then even said that government had considered the law in society such that if you do 100 and below, you're exempt from paying the taxes, even though the revenues that will raise will serve everybody. So clearly, Minister explained to them that this is more progressive than any other tax measure that we have brought into being since the MPP came into power, taking from the rich, sort of, and then giving and spreading for everybody at all. So we are redistributing income in this e-levy issue. And then secondly, what Ghanaians also wanted us to do as part of we passing the e-levy was to assure them that accountability and transparency will be key. And for that, we also assured them that there are various levels of oversight responsibility. In the area of Parliament, the various committees, because we mentioned that we're going to use some for roads, we mentioned that we're going to use some for the Youth Start program through giving employment to the youth. And so the Employment Committee in Parliament, the Roads Committee in Parliament, and the Finance Committee in Parliament can also play their oversight responsibility by making sure that whatever monies that we collect, we use it for exactly what we say we are going to use it for. And then when you come to the whole society, we also have the Auditor General also playing an oversight role by auditing government finances at the end of the year. And also now we have the RTI bill. If you want any information on how monies raised under e-levy, should it go through, have been spent, you can come under the RTI bill and demand for such information. So now the transparency and accountability rule has increased. And so they wanted that. And then they also wanted to see exactly what we were going to use them for. And so I believe that with the Ministry of Finance and the Minister explaining all these things, I know that we are ready. The Ghanaian citizen is ready to embrace and to support government in this regard. Because, like we said, we are in this together. We have to work together to achieve what we want to achieve. And what we want to achieve is a more prosperous life for our people and also to improve upon our economic growth, such that at the end of the day, we all together, we benefit. And remember, the verse Minister quoted in Jeremiah 29, verse 7, it says that if you live in a nation and you pray for the nation, as we prosper, everybody prospers. So that is how we are looking at things. We should all work together and make sure we all prosper together.
Well, finally, on the $2 billion support, is it meant to support BOG's reserve, or is more of an expenditure measure that you're using to deal with the challenges? Because some are saying that maybe, I remember the last time when the Deputy Minister of State met us here on the investor consent, one of the plan Bs that he suggested was that they will do a syndicated loan to shore up any challenge that they will have. Is this money for shoring the Bank of Ghana reserves, plugging in loophole, or helping government spending plans?
George, let me tell you, anytime we went to, all the times that we went into the international capital market, immediately we bring the funds inside. It is Forex that has come to the country. One, it brings some level of confidence so that people don't speculate and they get to know that at all times, if I should need this amount of Forex, it will be there for me. So one, to help reduce the speculation on the CD dollar depreciation, and also to improve on our general business confidence in the country. That is very, very important. Once they have that confidence, it will go a long way to stop the hike in the CD dollar situation. So it is not just, it is the general well-being, and to bring back the confidence that if I should need Forex at any time T, I will be able to get it. And also we'll use some for liability management, like we mentioned.